I'm Erin, and you're watching the Impatient Gardener YouTube channel, but we are not in my garden today. We are actually in my parents' garden, and I thought you guys would enjoy a tour. I've shown snippets of it before on Instagram, and people have been very interested in seeing more. So I sort of timed this tour with the blooming of the fringe tree. If you've ever seen a fringe tree in full bloom, you know it's sort of a cause for celebration. It doesn't last that long, but they're so beautiful. So that's this gorgeous fringe tree right here. This is the garden that I grew up in. I should say this is the house and yard that I grew up in, although the garden has changed tremendously since I lived here. In about 1999, it underwent a pretty big renovation. My mom actually worked with a garden designer to add a few beds in this area that we're in right now, shape the beds, add in more perennials and shrubs, and just kind of make more of this area that's right by the house. Before this was a lot of grass. Some of these beds existed, but they've been expanded and whatnot. So here we are right now. This is the south side of their house. There's a lot of big trees on this property, obviously, and a lot of things have changed over the years, as would happen in a property you've been in for a long time. But I'm just going to start with probably what I think is the best looking bed on the property right now. And that's this one over here. This is very much a foliage story. And a very successful one. There are only things that are blooming in here right now are goat's beard, lamium, and lady's mantle. Everything else is foliage, and I think it's just full of color and beautiful. These great leaves that you see here, this is bloodroot. That has obviously done blooming, but it's got that great foliage. And then just a wash of hostas. She's got a very pretty little white Siberian iris in here. She said it hasn't bloomed in several years now, and now it's blooming, so that's great. The great thing with this bed is that there's a lot of daffodils that grow in here, and there might be a few weeds, but it is so packed that the daffodil foliage just disappears under all this foliage. And if there is a weed in here, it would have a hard time making it very far because it is just jam-packed in here. This is very much what I aspire. I don't want a weed. I just want plants. I don't want mulch, and I don't want weeds. I just would like plants. This area was extremely shaded until a year ago. There was a giant silver maple that overlooked this whole bed. And then all of a sudden one day they looked at the silver maple and it had a crack all the way down the middle of it. So they had to immediately take it out. There's a bit more sun here than there has been in the past, although they've planted some new trees to help shield that a little bit. As we come around this corner here, this is a witch hazel. This is part of the original design from 1999, and it's big and beautiful now, and it sort of flanks this path. And over here we have a Panicle Hydrangea. I don't know which one it is. This predates, this was part of the original design too, so this predates things like Limelight. So I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but it's sort of propped up. It's gotten so heavy over the years that it's sort of propped up, but it manages it. And we have this great ground cover here, Siberian Juniper, no, Siberian something. I'll put the name on the screen. Really good ground cover for sort of a part shade situation. It can handle obviously some sun, but it's a nice low evergreen ground cover. Great for big swaths, and I don't think it's used nearly enough because it's very hard to find. This part of the garden is kind of coming out of when it looked its best. Just a few weeks ago, it looked so good. Daffodils were blooming in there. There's a bobo hydrangea in there. Obviously, there's lots of heuchera. One of the things with this house is that there are very deep, wide eaves. So planting near the house is extremely difficult because there tends to be a lot of shade in that area. Even though this is a southern exposure, as soon as the sun gets up very far, you kind of get a lot of shade. So it gets very difficult to sort of manage that. Around the deck here, she's just got some nice low nepeta, grasses, spirea, some probably summer beauty alliums here. And then as we work our way around here, this is all more shade plants. A nice collection of hostas and ferns and pulmonaria, and shredded umbrella plant in there. Some lamb's ear in here, and of course all around this just absolutely stunning fringe tree. That kind of makes our way over to this portion of a very shady bed. Again, a hosta story. Beautiful, huge hostas, mixed and matched, and all very happy. Now, you wouldn't believe this, but they do deal with a lot of deer here. My mom has a homemade deer repellent that she swears by. I'll get the recipe from her and put it in the description. But obviously she manages to grow hostas really well. We also have, I think the success of this bed is big swaths of plants. So even though these hostas are all different varieties, they sort of form a cohesive hosta story, basically because of texture. And then you move into the fine texture of a whole bunch of Japanese painted ferns right here, followed by a big swath of epimediums along here. I think this is sulfurium, I'm not sure. It spreads readily. In fact, she's shared plenty of it with me. The backdrop of this part of the garden is Viburnum. I believe this is arrowwood viburnum. Huge viburnums that are have always been here for ages and look great. Now, a lot of what we're seeing when we're looking this direction, because you'll see some screening, you'll see some arborvitaes, you'll see these viburnums. There is a lane that runs along this edge of the property. And that's because up until about 12 years ago, there was another house down there. And that house had to be taken down because it was too close to the bluff. So they now own all of this property from here. So this was used by other people. So therefore they were trying to screen this little private lane that was over here. Now that's just theirs, but it still exists. So as we come around here, I think you'll notice through this garden, also a climbing hydrangea growing up a tree. You'll notice that I have one of those in my house. It's absolutely where I got the idea from. This one, they actually had to cut their tree down, just like I did. They cut theirs down a little bit lower. A couple of years ago, we both grew them up ash trees, and then when the ash trees died because of emerald ash borer, rather than lose the vine, we decided to just cut them. Now this one is still recovering from that because the whole vine got chopped off. So this one is very much in recovery mode, but it's coming back really well. As we come along this way, this garden is, she's lost a couple of main features in this garden over the past couple of years. So it's kind of a work in progress. This corner of the garden is actually really nice. This is Ligularia. This is, if you guys remember the video I did on sharing plants, I'm certain this is the Ligularia that I got from my sister-in-law, because I'm sure she got it from here. It looks really good on this corner here. Just kind of fills in this corner so nicely, and then you can see the back side of the climbing hydrangea there. This island bed is new in the past few years, which is really nice actually. It's just kind of a nice way to frame the house. Beyond that, there's a small raised bed vegetable garden that's fenced in. This is mostly hostas, ajuga, some Solomon seal in here. It's all shade plants for the most part. And this is a nice way to sort of define the area, because what's beyond here is a very large sort of swath of grass that goes out to a beautiful view of Lake Michigan that they have created. So I believe in the past probably 5 years, I would conservatively say they've taken out 200 ash trees. They planted this whole field with ash trees. Because again, there used to be another house down there. So they planted this whole field with ash trees when they first moved into this area, or in the years thereafter. And then of course the emerald ash borer has absolutely decimated the ash tree population in our area. So they were all dying, and finally they just basically last year, I think they had more than 100 taken out just last year alone. So what they've done over the past, I don't know, 10 years, is cleared out this field and then actually created this separation so they can enjoy a view of the lake, which is sort of farther away than it seems. And this is a very big bluff here, so so they're not lake level. Okay. It's very hot up on the patio, but I just want to quickly touch base on this small little bed. I like this bed because it's such an interesting way to have a small bed, but create some intimacy on the patio here. Snow and summer, I can't grow that plant. I don't know why. She grows it beautifully. This is Penstemon here. All the tree peonies are finished blooming. She's got two big ones here, and they were just so beautiful. This was a light yellow one. This one might have been Barzella. I'm not sure. This is where she does do a lot of annuals, so they've just been planted and they're starting to fill in dahlias, other annuals that she's grown from seed in here. The peonies are pretty much pooped here. These are just herbaceous peonies. These are pretty much pooped, but they still smell just heavenly. I'm probably gonna sneeze now. And then this was another tree peony down here. So this is actually a very new garden area down here. Within the last, I would say, 3 years, there's a wooded area over here. So she's really reclaimed this spot from weeds. It's a constant battle that she's fighting with them, but you can see she's done a pretty amazing job. Beautiful Nepeta in full bloom here right now. Probably Walker's Low if I had to guess. And then the bees, by the way, are just absolutely covering this plant. And then this is Sweet William that's blooming, which is so bright and good looking with the Nepeta. Such a pretty combination here. There's some more peonies in here. Lots of lady's mantle. I think I get my love of lady's mantle from my mom, so she has a lot of it in her garden. And then this is just their little shed. We'll just kind of walk around the shed here so you can see the inside of this bed, because she has a nice path through the middle of it. This is a tough spot to garden in right here. She deals with jumping worms here. And lately, the big problem has been turkeys. They have a huge turkey population out here, and the turkeys are wreaking havoc on the garden. In particular, this area, she keeps replanting the same plants over and over again. They pulled them out. We think it's because there's a lot of jumping worm activity in this area, so we think they're after the worms. We're not sure, but it's really causing problems. She's got some phlox in here. I see some alliums. I'm not sure what we're dealing with there. This is false Spirea. These will get quite big. Nice, beautiful foliage plant, and tough as nails. So this is the area that she's really struggling with the turkeys. She just keeps replanting stuff every day as they rip it up. She's got some great grasses in here. These get very tall, get good movement in here. You can see the breeze blows through here. Oh, and I should have mentioned that growing on the structure is a Sweet Summer Love clematis. This thing gets absolutely covered in blooms. It is stunning. I have one at my house too. It doesn't look even nearly as good as hers. This is a plant that I showed that I'm growing in my garden, which is so fun. This is Zizzia, also known as Golden Alexanders, with an S apparently, or without an S, depending on how you say the common name. A real favorite with pollinators, but also beautiful, kind of this natural open habit, and these beautiful yellow umbellifer type flowers. And I just want to stop to pause and show you this absolutely stunning Baptisia. I'm going to put this on the screen for you, the name of this on the screen, because I think it's pink truffles, I believe. And it is so gorgeous right now because these blooms have sort of purple at the ends where the buds haven't opened yet, and then there's pinks, there's a little bit of yellow in there. Really stunning Baptisia here. Okay, so that is sort of the east side of their house. So now we're gonna just swing around to the other side of the house. So I told you that they have these really wide eaves, which really creates a problem. By the way, we're technically at the front door right now, but she's really made the most of this. This little planting of containers here with spider plants and some begonias in here. And then she's got this European ginger everywhere. Love it. Can't get over it. It's one of my very favorite ground covers. And clearly it's very happy here. So this is sort of a good solution. There's nothing that she can get to grow in this bed. At the back edge of this bed, it is super dry, full shade. There's really nothing that's going to grow back here. So she's sort of pushed everything forward and then put some containers in here to solve that problem, which I think is a really good takeaway to how to solve sort of work with problem spaces. So we're basically at midday right now. So you're probably wondering, like, what in the heck is she doing growing Hacklemacloa? This is Aureola here in this super bright sunny spot. Well, this is only a couple hours of sun, and then we're basically in shade over here. But again, swaths of one plant, mass plantings, a couple of containers that come up to sort of mark that corner and draw your eye that way. Sedums, super easy care sedums. She's got some heuchera growing in here, whole bunch of, this is curly allium, and then she's got this beautiful Royal Raindrops crabapple here that is just looking really good. She had a Japanese maple here for a while and it did not work well, so so they skipped that. And then there is a little path. There's a little path along here just with some enormous boxwoods over there that kind of cut through here, mostly for maintenance, but also so they can get from the door. And then this area is brand new last year. So the situation is that my parents live on a very busy county highway. You can probably hear the traffic going by. And as trees have died over the years, ash trees again, they've become very exposed to that road. So what they did was they had this berm built last year. So they've bermed this up. I don't know how high that berm is, maybe 4 feet or so. And they planted a whole bunch of evergreens on here to create screening because it's wide open right there. So they've got several arborvitaes in here as well as some spruces in here. And then they just kept the planting really simple in here. We've got lots of lambs here, tough plants, tough, easy care plants. They don't need anything else to take care of. So easy care plants. And then to sort of complete this and have this get separated again, we're back by that woods area. They just made a few little garden beds over here that are slowly starting to get filled in. Lots of salvia in here. This is betony here. I think that is sweet romance maybe. Some sedums along here, some heuchera. Simple plantings, again, backed by lots of evergreen to set it off and just sort of divide it from sort of the woodsy area, create a delineation there. And then I just want to show you one other area really quick. First of all, I don't want to miss this. This is a My Monet Weigela. Now it is, unfortunately, I missed its peak because a lot of the flowers are fading, but boy, does it like this spot right here. Isn't it gorgeous with this variegated foliage? And then it gets these beautiful pink, light pink blooms on it. So once again, this is an area right here that is right along the road. And I just want to show you that they planted these arborvitaes within the past 3-4 years. And I want you to take a look. I mean, granted, they didn't start with super small plants. They think this is green giant. And this is to serve as a noise buffer, to serve as a block from the road, to just try to make this all feel more enclosed. This whole area used to be grass when we were kids, and why have more grass to mow? They clearly have plenty of it. So anyways, I just want to show you these big trees, and they've not had any issues with deer on these as of yet. So these are all looking great, but really effective screen to just put these here and just try to forget about that road that's over there. So we end where we began, which is at the fringe tree, because you cannot get enough of the fringe tree, right? All right, so that is just a quick tour of my parents' garden. There's more to see, but it's a lovely space to be in. And it's a place where obviously I draw a lot of inspiration from. This is 100% maintained primarily by my mom, with some assistance from my dad. And I always say, I don't know how she does it, but I think one of the reasons is you'll see she really packs her beds full. So you pack your beds full, there's fewer weeds to worry about. So maybe something to think about. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed seeing another garden. I know the light was really bright, but you got to do these things when you can. And that's it from here. If you guys are interested, maybe we will revisit later in summer when some different things are blooming and a few of these areas are a little bit more filled in. All right, I hope you're having a great day in your garden, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.